Qawmane Wilson lost his mother to gun violence on November 14th.
My mother, she was a neighborhood woman. A guy entered her home, and murdered her, just to steal. Yeah, man. About to go get this $1,000 out for the fans, man. Really, I'm gonna take out 20,000, man. Just to show people, you feel me? I'm on a whole different level with this, man. I ain't, I take this serious, man. So you can't put me in the same category as the other people.
December 2015, Sergeant Contreras is interviewing inmate involved in a 1010 on tier 3G. What's your name?
Qawmane Wilson.
What's your ID number?
2013 1224 144.
What happened on 3G?
I was standing by the phones, and then that guy, I don't know him. I don't know where he came from. I don't know who he is. He got off the table and took his shirt off. Unbuttoned his jumpsuit and stepped to me.
In the early morning hours of September 2nd, 2012, Chicago Police Department received a call from a man frantically reporting that his girlfriend had been shot inside her apartment in the Uptown neighborhood. When the officers finally arrived, they found 45-year-old Yolanda Holmes, a well-known and successful beauty shop owner, lying unresponsive in her bed. She had been shot and stabbed in what appeared to be a brutal attack. At first, it seemed like this was just a simple home invasion, but as detectives began digging a little deeper, they discovered evidence that this was actually a targeted attack that no one seen coming. This case right here is beyond disturbing. If you are a parent that's never heard this story, get ready to be outraged. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but just know this one's gonna hit hard. What's up, family? I'm the Mysterious Black Bandit. If you're new here, welcome to my channel, and if you've been here, welcome back. Before we get into this crazy video, please help your boy out by hitting that subscribe, turn on all the notifications, and like this video. I'm not sure if YouTube is gonna alert you anyway, but go ahead and do it anyway. Now, once you've done that, let's get into the story. Raised up in Chicago, Illinois, 45-year-old single mother Yolanda Holmes became one of the most dynamic individuals within the community. After growing up the way she did, she decided that she wanted to build a life that was better and safer for her son. Now, she was already known for her entrepreneurial spirit, but with hard work and determination, she started her own beauty salon called Nappy Heads and quickly became successful and a trusted figure. Yolanda took pride in making her clients feel good inside and out, so over time, her salon became more than just a place to get your hair done. It became a sanctuary. Since she had done so good for herself, she worked very hard to get back to the community. Yolanda was one of those type of people that enjoyed helping people in need. When it was time for the kids to go back to school, she would open up her salon to do back to school drives. Then she often did charity work and even allowed people to use her salon to throw birthday parties. Now, though Yolanda loved being a business owner and took pride in helping others, just about everything she did was ultimately for her son, Qawmane Wilson. Qawmane and his mother were very close. They lived in Chicago, and we all know how those streets are, so she tried to do her best to keep him safe so he wouldn't end up like his father, Jeffrey Wilson. Jeffrey was a highly regarded gang leader from West Side Chicago and is serving a life sentence in prison for murder and aggravated arson he committed in 1993. Now, I'm not sure if it's the same way today, but back in the 80s and 90s, street tax was a common practice by gang leaders, especially in cities with heavy gang activity like Chicago. These gangs control entire neighborhoods, and if you were a drug dealer, local business owner, or doing any type of business on their territory, they would demand street tax or a payment for them, and if you didn't pay up, you would be faced with violent consequences. As a gang leader, Qawmane's father went to this drug dealer who was operating a crack house on his block and requested he pay street tax of $500 to $1,000 a week. The drug dealer refused, so Jeffrey came back later on and burned down the crack house that ended up killing 2 people. Now, on top of Yolanda trying to keep her son safe, she made sure he never wanted for anything. She bought him just about all the material things he wanted, kept him in the newest and most stylish outfits, and of course, she made sure that hair stayed freshly done. Now, Qawmane wanted to be a rapper or R&B singer, calling himself Young OC, so Yolanda worked tirelessly to support his ambition, doing everything she could to help him chase his dreams. Now, Yolanda and this guy named Curtis Wyatt had been in an on and off relationship for years and had recently rekindled things. On September 1st, they went out for food and drinks, then headed back to her house to finish off the night. After they finished doing what they did, they fell asleep, but not long afterwards, Yolanda's phone rang, waking them both up, but after he heard the conversation, he went back to sleep. Then around 4 a.m. on September 2nd, Curtis was suddenly woken up by the sounds of gunshots. When he sat up, he saw this dark figure standing in the doorway, pointing a gun at Yolanda. Without thinking, Curtis jumps up and rushes over to him to try to wrestle this gun away. The two fought for a while, but eventually the gunman pistol whipped Curtis and knocked him out. After the scuffle, the gunman walks over to Yolanda, stabs her several times, and calmly walks out the front door. Now, once the police arrived, detectives immediately noticed that blood was scattered all over the walls. Then as they walked through the apartment, they found a broken handgun on the bedroom floor and a knife missing from the kitchen block. Curtis, who was still bleeding from the cuts he had on his face and head, tells them what happened, but what raised suspicion was that he tried to clean up the place before the police arrived. Now, of course, this made him a prime suspect in the case. If your lover had just been shot and stabbed, wouldn't your first instinct be to rush to help her rather than worrying about cleaning up the scene? And another thing that was kind of weird was that there was no forced entry into the apartment. Now, as the investigators continued searching through the apartment, just before 6 a.m., Yolanda's son, Qawmane Wilson, came to the building to see his mother. As he was about to approach the door, one of the detectives stopped him and told him the horrible news. At first, he just stood there with this blank stare on his face. Then, out of nowhere, he broke down into tears. Now, after the apartment was scoured for evidence, the one thing that stood out to the investigators is the fact that Yolanda had been shot and stabbed. This definitely indicated overkill, meaning the killer was making sure that she didn't survive. Now, later on that night, the investigators examined the apartment building's surveillance footage and saw that at 4:30 a.m., a man approached the main entrance, punched in a code, and entered the building. He was wearing a hoodie and looked to be carrying clothes on a hanger and carrying a detergent bottle. Around 4:46 a.m., he exited the building wearing a different hoodie, and as he was leaving, he passed another man who was identified as a resident. So the detectives questioned him but found no links to the crime. Now, after interviewing Qawmane, who told the detectives that he believed Curtis was behind the murder, they reached back out to him to take a lie detector's test. Although the results indicated that he was being deceptive, investigators couldn't arrest him because at that point, they didn't have enough evidence to connect him to the murder. Now, a year or so has gone by, and the investigators still didn't have any leads on Yolanda's murder. It wasn't until they received the phone records when they realized that she had two phone lines. On one line, there was a lot of activity before, during, and after the murder. Then all of a sudden, it completely stopped. So they tried to reach out to Qawmane again to see if he knew who she could have been talking to, but then they realized the phone number that he gave to them to contact was actually the second phone number that was registered to Yolanda. At around 4 a.m. on September 2nd, 2012, Qawmane was on Yolanda's second phone at the same exact time that she was killed. After a little digging, they found out that the person that he was talking to was Eugene Spencer. By December 23rd, 2013, detectives finally tracked down Qawmane to question him again. Now, when the investigators finally talked to him, he claimed that he had been trying to get in touch with them and admitted to knowing Eugene from the neighborhood. When they showed him the surveillance footage, he confirmed the man entering his mother's building the night of her murder was Eugene. He then told him that when Eugene went to his mom's building, it was only supposed to be a robbery. Now, not long after Qawmane was brought in for questioning, Eugene was brought in and they asked him if he had ever been to Yolanda's apartment. This is when he came forward with everything. He told him that he shot and stabbed Yolanda. Then he revealed that Qawmane was the mastermind behind the whole ordeal. He said Qawmane gave him the access code to the entrance and offered him $4,200 to kill his mother, but after the job was done, he only seen $70 of it. Now, Qawmane had spoken to his mother about 40 minutes earlier and told her that he was coming over. So Yolanda, expecting her son, left the front door open. This would explain why there wasn't a forced entrance. Qaw'mane also supplied Eugene with the gun, gave him clothes and laundry detergent to make it look like he lived in the building. When they asked how he made it to Yolanda's place that night, they learned that Qaw'mane's former girlfriend, Lorena Johnson, drove him there and dropped him off. Now, this is what makes this such a sick situation. When the murder was actually happening, Qaw'mane was on the phone with Eugene, and when he shot her, he told him to make sure that bitch, his mom, is dead. This will explain why he went back and stabbed Yolanda after shooting her in the head. This boy's whole motive for having his own mother murdered was pure greed, out of work, and having a horrible rap career. He wanted to keep up this image as if he was a successful rapper, but didn't have the money to do so. After his mother's death, he didn't waste any time living a life of luxury with the money he received off her death. He withdrew nearly $70,000 from his mother's account just to show off his newfound wealth via social media.
I don't play no games. I mean, I don't play no games, man. You know, I do this for real, bro. I don't got no problem with giving back, man. I'm the only one out here with a show that's actually giving back, you feel me? And I got proof to show it, you feel me? Shout out to this fan I'm finna go slide on, man. Finna take care of you.
Of course, he knew that he was the sole beneficiary of his mother's assets and 2 life insurance policies, so he wanted everything his mother had. After piecing together a combination of phone records, financial transactions, witness testimonies, and confessions from his accomplices, on January 24th, 2013, 23-year-old Qawmane Wilson was arrested for orchestrating his mother's murder, and in January of 2020, he was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 99 years in prison. As for Eugene Spencer, the one that committed the crime, he was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 100 years in prison, and Lorena Johnson, the driver, pleaded guilty to robbery and served 7 years in prison before being released on parole. And just like that, a mother who gave her all was betrayed by the one person she loved the most. Yolanda worked her butt off, built a successful salon, and used it to help others. When it came to her son, she literally did everything for him. He was her only child, and she spoiled him with love, bought him expensive clothes, flashy jewelry, and even gifted him a Mustang when he turned 16. But even with all that, it still wasn't enough. This just goes to show that it doesn't matter what you do for selfish or greedy people. They'll always take and never be satisfied. Listen, we all love our children and want to give them the best life, but I'm telling you, it is better to start now making them earn the stuff that you are giving them. I know that this is a rare incident, but trust me, kids will do way better in the real world if you make them understand the value of hard work. All right, family, if you made it this far, go ahead and let me know what you think about this one down in the comments below. I want to thank all of the Said So Squad and Scandalites for coming over supporting this channel. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, and turn on that notification so you don't miss out on the next video. I hope you all have had an amazing and wonderful day. And until next time, stay mysterious, my friends.